Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot. I'm here today with a collective reading. The title of this reading is What is Keeping You Stuck? And hopefully within this reading we will uncover some of the issues around what you might be feeling stuck about and what you might be able to do about that, more importantly, really. It's always my intention, it's always my hope that my readings are therapeutic, that they promote self-reflection, and really just prompt that process within people, really. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you your fortune or tell you your future. This is a therapeutic process. I'm going to put a timestamp in this video, because I've got a lot of cards here, as you can see, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time shuffling them and laying some cards out, and then I thought I would pause it so that if you don't want to watch my little introduction and you don't want to watch the shuffling, you can get straight onto the video. So that's entirely up to you. I've got lots of cards here today. I've realised recently with one thing or another, well, I suppose my channel has been going for about a year now, and I've realised over that year that I just don't have the time or the energy, particularly the energy, to be honest, to do 12 astrology readings every month, plus the other bits and pieces that I like to do. If I'm honest, I find it a little bit of a drudge, I suppose, to try and get through 12 readings. You know, this isn't my job, and it's just my hobby. It's something I enjoy doing, and I love reading cards. I really, really do. But I found that just trying to get all 12 astrology readings out every month in good time, some of the readings are quite similar, some of the energy's quite similar, and it's just not very inspiring for me, really, and it's tiring, and it's a pressure. So I'm just doing things differently, really, these days. I'm just doing what I enjoy, when I have time, when I have energy. You know, I've got lots of decks of cards now, and I'm keen to get them out and do different things with them, really. So I could have done this as a pick a card reading today, and I'm sure I will do some more of those in the future because I think they're fabulous. I do like a pick a card reading, but today it's just going to be one set of cards. But as you can see, it's going to be quite a lot of cards. I think I've got I've got 4 decks of oracle cards here and 2 decks of tarot. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to get on and do some shuffling and lay some cards out, which I can already tell is going to be a pain because I've got moisturiser on my hands. So that's not going to go well, I can tell. So this little deck here is my Wisdom Well deck. Where am I going to put these? I should put that there, I think, while I'm shuffling. So this is a Wisdom Well deck. This is a deck of archetype cards, quite Jungian archetype cards. I did a little review of these several months ago, I think. They're quite rare. You don't see them very often. They might even be out of print, to be honest. So, and I love them. They're quite profound, quite deep, and I shall probably read from the book for this deck when I have drawn a card later on. Not for the other cards, but I probably will for these Wisdom Well cards. So, spirit guides, please. With the intention of asking the question, what is keeping you stuck, for my viewers, if we could have a card, please, that will provide clarity and information about this matter. Thank you. So, okay, Right, I think what I'm going to do you know, I hadn't even thought this reading out particularly before I've started. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave all the cards face down for the time being until I've drawn them all. And then, like I said, I shall pause the video and then when you come back, all the cards will be on the table and we can start your reading. I hope everybody's well. Part of the reason why I haven't read for a while is it's just been so hot here in the UK. And I know for many of you around the world that will be laughable really, because you probably live with quite high temperatures a lot of the time, but we generally don't here in the UK. And although our summers can be quite hot, they're not normally like they have been the last few days. It has been really quite oppressive and unpleasant. And we don't have air conditioning in this country. Very rarely do people have air conditioning, so we all just suffocate really when it gets hot. So that's part of the reason why I haven't done anything. Anyway, these cards here are John Richardson's Past Life Revealed cards, which I've also done a review on recently, or in the last few months anyway. I thought this just might give us a little added extra depth to this reading, just to see if there might be anything within your energetic kind of makeup really that might be causing problems, might be causing, you know, energy to become stuck, cycles to become stuck, patterns, habits, you know. So, Spirit Guide, please. If we can have a card to bring some clarity to this matter, that would be great. Thank you. See, now I can't get them off the table. My hands are slippery. There we go. So, one card for that. I'm going to put those over there. I'm also going to draw an art oracle deck card from my art oracle deck, which I've also reviewed just very recently actually. These were a present from a friend, so this is their first outing. But I found the messages on these cards to be quite interesting, so I thought this would give some added depth to this reading also. So Spirit Guides, if we could have some clarity, if we could have a message relating to energy, to being stuck, to old habits, old patterns, old cycles. Thank you. Okay, just put that on there as well. We're also going to have a Power of Surrender oracle card, and this one I shall probably leave unturned right until the very end of the reading, because this has some very specific advice on these cards, and I don't want to sort of influence my thinking as I'm looking at the other cards. So I shall probably turn this over right at the end for some last minute advice. So Spirit Guides, Universe, please, some advice for my viewers, some advice relating to stuck energy, old habits and old patterns. Thank you. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to keep that card up there. I'm not going to turn that over right until the end. This is my Tarot of the Oppositions deck, which I thought might be a good deck to go with a question such as what is keeping you stuck. I don't tend to read reverses on cards. I tend to read cards as they present themselves to me, depending on the other cards around them. So I don't specifically read reversals. I just read the cards in context, really. So these cards are very interesting to me because they kind of force you into reading the light and shade of the tarot card. So, Spirit, please, Spirit guides, please, if you could provide some clarity, some messages for the question, what is keeping you stuck? What is keeping me stuck? What is keeping you stuck? What is keeping my viewers stuck? Thank you. Okay, and I'm going to draw 6 of these. Okay, I have 6 of those, and I should also have a look at the bottom of the deck for that as well. And then I'm going to draw 6 of my Radiant Rider-Waite cards also for clarifying purposes. So, Spirit guides, please. If we could have some clarity, if we could have some messages relating to the question, what is keeping you stuck? What is keeping my viewers stuck in old patterns and old cycles and old habits? Thank you. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's the cards. This is my pile of cards here, and I'm going to pause the video, and when you come back I shall have laid the cards out, cleaned my table up and we'll be ready for your reading. So see you in a mo. Hello, so we're ready for your reading now. So as you know, the title of this reading is What is Keeping You Stuck, and hopefully what you can do about it is something that we'll find out in this reading here today. So let's have a look at these cards and see what we've got. So we've got card number 33 of the Wisdom Well, which I'm going to look up. I haven't used those cards very often, and they're, well, the guidebook is just fab. So in the past lives cards, we've got number 35 here, and we've got empathy and compassion. So I think these past life cards are great, actually. They don't necessarily need to be used in a very specific way, looking at past lives. I think these cards can kind of represent our patterns and our cycles and our habits. So we've got empathy and compassion there. Ooh, what have we got here? Artemisia Gentilishi, which I'm sure I've just slaughtered that name really badly there. Artemisia. And what we can see in this picture is a woman from perhaps the, I don't know, 15th, 16th, 17th century, somebody from antiquity, with a knife, with a dagger, with blood dripping from it. And men whispering about her. So, history has your back, which I'm trying to remember what that means. That's life, isn't it? That's to do with your life. History has your back. Society stabs you in it. Your work is use your talent like a weapon. And your inspiration is don't let convention confine you. So I wonder if this is a female energy here. This is a female artist of somebody that was not recognised for her own talents in her own time. This card could represent feminism, I guess, in some way or another, isn't it? Or a female that has had to defend herself in a very male-dominated society, perhaps. Yeah, history has your back, society stabs you in it. I think that this card represents a person who was not recognised for her talent in her own time, somebody who perhaps was ignored or demonised for being female. So I don't know how that's resonating for you. That could be an energy that is still being felt now, couldn't it? Potentially in our world. So these are the 3 oracle cards that we're going to start with. And then with our tarot cards, we've got death in the light attributes, actually, which is good. We've got the Knight of Cups in his very light attributes. We've got the Hierophant in his shadow attributes. We've got the Six of Cups, sorry, in his shadow attributes. We've got the Star in the shadow attributes, blimey. And we have got the Tower in its shadow attributes also. So I'm just going to leave the other 6 tarot cards there that I drew before. At the bottom of the decks, we've got the Ace of Cups in its light attributes, and we also have the Queen of Cups. So let's have a look at these cards. We've got a lot of cups here. We've got quite a lot of difficult energy here, really, haven't we, to start with? I can see that there would be a big need for empathy and compassion around some of these cards. Let's have a read of the archetype card, card number 33, which in this book is being called the hero. This is like Hercules, I think, isn't it? Or is it Atlas? I can't remember. The god who had to hold the world on his shoulders. So I'm going to read some of this. So keywords are inner strength, an obstacle overcome, slaying your inner demons before they devour you, a challenge in the outer world, winning, succeeding, and making progress. Each one of us is a hero in life's rough journey, facing our own individual battles. This card embodies the psyche's courageous inner struggle, its spiritual journey towards wholeness. When an internal conflict is resolved, there is corresponding gain of strength and wisdom. You become the conqueror of your emotions and your weaknesses, the victor in your life's struggle. You gain new mastery over life, and the spirit strengthens and evolves. It learns something and it moves on. So this card means that you've overcome a problem, or you will soon overcome a problem. You will face a problem soon and vanquish it. Every trauma and every tragedy has a victory to offer. As a result, fate will change, and so will you. Having learned to overcome this difficulty, you will never have to deal with quite the same situation again. This card always signals both a struggle and an inner realization. There will then follow a wonderful improvement in life. The battle can either take place within you or without you, but it will influence both aspects. Blimey. And the keywords on this card here are undaunted, I stand, and in the end, I win. That's a very similar energy, actually, isn't it? I'm going to keep that open so I can refer to that. But that's a very similar energy to this lady in the art oracle, isn't it? Use your talent like a weapon. Don't let convention define you. So this card means that you will soon overcome a problem, one that you will have to face and vanquish. And as the title of this reading is what is keeping you stuck, perhaps what's coming up for you, what you'll be facing soon enough, is something within yourself, is something within your own psyche, a struggle, a bad habit that you have, some internal conflict, something that you're struggling with. And already I think I'm feeling here that there's a big sense of feeling alone. You know, the person in this card here, the hero, he's alone here with the weight of the world on his shoulders. The lady here, Artemisia, she's alone, having to deal with these men whispering about her, having to deal with the possibility of somebody stabbing her in the back, of being not recognised and not seen. And I would say that perhaps already that's the feeling that I'm getting about what you might be stuck with here, is feeling alone, feeling that you have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and that you are alone with that. I think this is being reinforced to me here by the Death card, which, as I said, is in its shadow attributes. Sorry, it's in its light attributes, isn't it? There is movement here. There are cycles wrapping up. There are cycles ending. But I see you feeling alone with it, really. You know, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Cups here, which can often represent new love, new beginnings, self-love, a realization of compassion and empathy, an opening of your heart chakra, if you like. And that's at the bottom of the deck, and the bottom of the deck is often what is the crux of the matter. It might be what you're not seeing, but it's often the real crux of the matter. And so, again, I'm feeling very much here that the crux of the matter is that perhaps because of your perceived reality, because of your perceived notions about your reality, is that you felt quite shut off. Perhaps emotionally you've closed your heart in some ways to somebody or to the world or to yourself. Yeah, we've got empathy and compassion here, haven't we, as your past life card, which really is a card of patterns and cycles, and perhaps this represents you as somebody that gives a lot in life, you know, that you've given out a lot, that you have a lot of empathy, that you have a lot of compassion for people. I know for me that this kind of energy is just as much of a curse as it is a gift, really. I think when you're very empathic, you can often be a bit of a sponge. You know, you can soak up other people's energy, good and bad, and it can be very difficult to have strong boundaries around what you actually let into your life, and how you let that affect you. I know that this is something that has been a big struggle of mine throughout my life, something I've been actively trying to deal with, to be more boundaried about the people that I let into my life and the energy that I allow into my life. So if that resonates for you, if you perceive yourself to be, you know, perhaps a wounded healer, you could work in a caring profession of some kind, you could be part of a big family, you could be a person that people look to for support and sympathy and empathy and healing. But I'm feeling here quite strongly that that has come as a cost to you, that perhaps your heart chakra has been too open at times in your life. Perhaps you've allowed too much in, and perhaps it's caught up with you in some ways. What else have we got here? We've got the Knight of Cups here, haven't we, which is interesting. Just looking at the astrology of the cards we've got here, death is obviously, my brain, Scorpio. The Knight of Cups could be Scorpio also, it could be Pisces or Cancer. We've got the Hierophant here, which is Taurus. We've got the Six of Cups, which is Scorpio again. And we've got the Star, which is Aquarius energy. And we've got the Tower, which is Mars, which is very fiery energy. So yeah, Scorpio's featuring quite heavily here. With the Hierophant here, he's in his shadow attributes. He's in his shade, and as you can see in the difference in the cards there, he's very, in his light attributes, he's very open and very welcoming, and in his shadow attributes, he's very closed and kind of cut off. And you know, it's kind of confusing energy, isn't it? Because as I said, on the one hand, there is very much the feeling here of somebody who has been, or somebody who feels like they've been ignored, and that their own needs are not being met, even though they try very hard to meet other people's needs, and they carry a lot of other people's pain and distress. The Hierophant is obviously a spiritual teacher. This is somebody of spiritual wisdom and knowledge, and this person here is closed and shut off. So I don't know how that's resonating, whether that's something that perhaps you've closed your heart a little bit to spirituality in some ways. Perhaps you've become a little bit cynical or jaded with such things. And again, the feeling of aloneness is coming up here again in the Six of Cups. You know, in its light attributes here, we've got a boy with his dad. They're enjoying some fishing together, but in the shade here is a boy who sat on his own, who perhaps hasn't got a father or hasn't got a male figure to come and sit with him to do these kind of things. So he's feeling very alone and very despondent with that. And in the Star card here as well, this is in its dark attributes. This card is warning us of not shutting ourselves off so completely to the cycles of life that we have nothing left to give. You know, in its light attributes here, there's a kind of giving. You know, she's pouring the water. The water which represents emotions is flowing, whereas in this shadow attributes here, it's kind of dried up and there's nothing. She has nothing to pour, and there's really not much to take, is there, with her jug either? It's like it's all turned to sand. And perhaps that's what happens when you give too much and you don't really get what you need in return. That could well be how you end up feeling, really, is that you have nothing left to give. Is that how you're feeling at the moment? That you have nothing left to give? That you've been misunderstood? And that you're worn out? Spiritually and emotionally, I think, here, worn out, to be honest. And then the last card we have here is the Tower. And the Tower is in its shadow attributes also. But there is a phoenix flying out of this picture here, isn't there, which is interesting. Which there isn't in the light attributes. In the light attributes, it's like we see the start of the devastation, you know, the lightning strike and the sudden devastation here. But in the shadow attributes, it's like, well, it's done. It's burnt down. The fire has raged. It's ruined things. But there is this bird here, which I think is a phoenix, and perhaps there's an element of rebirth here. There is certainly some stuck energy here. But in amongst this stuck energy, there is rebirth, there is newness, there is endings of cycles. There are positive emotions around should you choose to see them. And I think this hero card here is very much encouraging you to gather your strength, you know, to gather your psychic strength, to prepare yourself for this battle that is going to come to you, that is going to take place. This is about changing your mindset, isn't it? This is about changing how you perceive your own struggles in life. It's interesting, isn't it? Let's clarify these cards and just see if I can pull any further messages here for you. That is very interesting. Yeah. There's quite a bit of conflict here within these cards, but there's also so much love, actually, so much love to be given. But I think there is a real need here to address the balance of that and to get some of the things in life that you need for yourself. So, why is the Death card here? And we have the Two of Cups. So this is the tentative new steps of a new relationship, isn't it? So has a relationship ended for you? Has it ended for perhaps the same reasons as many of the relationships in your life end, in that they're not balanced? They become slightly codependent. You give too much and you don't get what you need in return. Why is the Knight of Cups here? We've got the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is Cancer energy, as is the Two of Cups, actually. And we've got that here with the Knight of Cups, haven't we? So we've got somebody here actually offering you a cup of love. We've got somebody offering you something, but you don't want to take it for whatever reason. Is it because you don't feel deserving of it? You know, this can be a long-term pattern of people who are highly empathic, is that they give and give and give, but often don't feel worthy of receiving anything back, and often don't even see it for what it is when it's kind of shoved in their face, like is what's going on here. You know, this person is just not wanting to see, not wanting to look. Why is the Hierophant here? We've got the Ten of Pentacles. As I said, the Hierophant is a card of spirituality, of wisdom, a teacher. It can sometimes represent a marriage proposal or an impending marriage. And we've got that here with the Ten of Pentacles, which is interesting. This is Mercury in Virgo. This is kind of a completion of all things within your material life, of feeling successful, feeling like you might have arrived, where you want to be. And perhaps that's come at the detriment of your spiritual life in many ways. Maybe you've had to focus so much on earning money, looking after your family, being there for other people, being part of something for other people, that you've kind of neglected your own inner world. Why is the Six of Cups here? And we've got the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands often represents just movement, sudden movement, speedy movement, lots going on. This is Sagittarius energy, Mercury in Sagittarius, so it could be that there's lots of conversations, there's lots of communications, there's lots and lots of networking, which would also go with the Ten of Pentacles here. But again, somehow or another, you're not quite feeling it, are you? You're still feeling alone and separate, and perhaps even unloved, uncared for. Yeah. Such a sad energy, this one here, isn't it? The Six of Cups. In its shadow attributes anyway. It's a kind of almost turning your back on the past and or feeling that the past turned its back on you, that somebody or something turned its back on you. So while there may be a lot going on around you, I would say that you're probably not feeling it. You're not feeling part of that. So why is the Star here in its dark attributes, its shadow, and we've got the Ten of Cups? I do wonder if for some of you that whether you may have come out of a relationship recently, you may have suddenly found yourself alone, or your feelings of being alone has prevented you from being able to obtain this kind of energy here. Because this is the completion of everything emotional, isn't it? This is the roses round the door, you know, the husband and wife with their 2 children and their beautiful home. It's singing and dancing and everything, isn't it? As compared to trying to scrape up the last dredges of emotion in the Star card here. The last dredges of hope and wishes and dreams. And then why is the Tower here? And the last card we've got is the Seven of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy again. So this is waiting, isn't it? Waiting. Reaping what you sow, I guess, isn't it? Having worked hard. It's like there's an expectation of something. And you know, at the bottom of the deck, actually, of this deck, we've got the Queen of Cups, who, in her light attributes, she's a beautifully compassionate person, you know, a real family orientated person. Whether you're male or female, this is a very feminine energy of receptivity and compassion and empathy and warmth. Somebody who's a real giver, you know, but in her shade, she can be a little bit flaky, a little bit unstable, somebody whose emotions can run to extremes, somebody that can be a bit of a handful, I guess, at times. Somebody who can be codependent, and I think that's the word. That's just what I'm seeing here so much, because there's lots of new beginnings here. There's lots of endings and completion cycles. We've got 2 tens. We've got the Death card. We've got the Tower. But then we've got some new beginnings, haven't we, with the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups. It's all here, but I just don't think that you're seeing it. And I think that's what is keeping you stuck, isn't it? Is your perception of things. And where do our perceptions come from? They come from our childhood. They come from the way that we were brought up, how we felt about ourselves as a child, whether we were loved, whether we were nurtured. And everything unfolds really from there, doesn't it? You know, often if you've had a bad childhood, you can have a very difficult experience of school and relationships and work life. And so it goes on, doesn't it? And often, if you've had a very difficult childhood, you can become codependent very quickly within relationships. You can give and give and give, always with the hope that something will come back to you. But often I think you're afraid to actually speak your own truth to the people that you love, because there's this fear of rejection, isn't there? That if you told the truth about who you were and what you wanted, that maybe you would be rejected, that you'd make it worse for yourself. That some of those things that might have happened to you as a child will happen to you again. And it's a very fear-based kind of perception of life, isn't it? And a very empty one, I have to say as well, a very empty one. And I resonate with some of this energy quite strongly. You know, these are things that I've felt in my life. I felt for a long time that if I was honest with people about who I was and what I wanted and what I needed, that it wouldn't happen. And so I pretended and people pleased and got into codependent relationships with people that were completely and utterly unsuitable for me, really. They were people that just took. But there's kind of a self-responsibility, isn't there, with codependency and that kind of energy, because if you're always frightened of saying what you want and what you need, then you don't really give the people around you an opportunity to fulfill those things for you, do you? You know, you're sitting there within yourself with all these hopes and dreams and expectations, but you don't communicate them in any way that's effective to anybody else. And so how can people meet your needs, really? Well, that's what I've come to learn over time anyway, that, you know, if you've got half a hope of getting your needs met, you need to be very upfront and honest about them, particularly in romantic relationships. And there are issues here. I do honestly think that a lot of these cards here are relating to a romantic relationship. I think you're probably single at the moment, many of you who might be watching this. Yeah, and feeling jaded and feeling some resentment, feeling hopeless, feeling despairing about ever having the things that you want or need. I would say, looking at these cards, that perhaps you've invested a lot of your energy into to other people, to perhaps your job or your local community or your family, and you may well in that process have neglected some of the things that you need to do for yourself. I feel there's quite a jaded and quite a stressed out air to some of these cards. Yeah. And I think overall what's really... Well, I just keep looking at this card here, to be honest. This card here of the two people holding hands with the sun. This is a connection, isn't it? This is a strong connection. And I think that that's what you're craving. And I think that perhaps the habits and patterns and cycles that have kept you stuck all of this time are around how you go about trying to get what you need. And what was that quote? I can't remember who said it, but it's like the definition of insanity, isn't it? That to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result is insanity. That is the very definition of insanity, isn't it? So it's time to shake things up a little bit, I think, isn't it? It's time to do things differently. It's time to stand in your own strength, you know, to take responsibility for yourself and to stand in your own strength and your own wisdom, and to face the world head on with good boundaries, and with good communication, because that's obviously vital, isn't it? You know, perhaps to get yourself some help, perhaps to get yourself some support or some help, some therapy, some counselling, whether that be from a good friend or whether you pay for that, whether you go and see a professional person. But, you know, these are things that are very deeply entrenched within us, and they're not things to change that can change easily. You know, they're things that require a lot of unpicking and a lot of working through, a lot of facing yourself. You know, it's the old relationship mirror work, isn't it? So yeah, let's just see, let's have a little look at this again. Yeah, the card embodies the psyche's courageous inner struggle. This is about gaining mastery over life, and then the spirit will strengthen and evolve. Every trauma and tragedy has a victory to offer. I think that, you know, that's very much the crux of this, isn't it, really? This is about gaining mastery over yourself, over your emotional state, how you conduct yourself in relationships, how you communicate your needs, about the boundaries that you set out for yourself, about what's acceptable to you and what's not, what makes you happy and what doesn't, what kind of people make you happy and what ones don't. You know, it's those kind of energies, isn't it? This is major self-care. So I think I'm going to have a look at the last card here. Let's turn that over finally. Oh, bless. So we got surrender stress. Surrender stress. This card here, I was just, as soon as I looked at that, actually, that's a letting go, isn't it? That's really just like, you know, facing the sun, facing the moon, just standing within your own body, within your own being, I am what I am who I am, taking a few deep breaths, exhaling the tension that's built up in your body, letting the stress go as you come back to your center, grounding yourself, being calm and centered and grounded within yourself. And I think, to be honest, that is very much needed here. I can see there is a lot of inner conflict here. There's a lot of inner emotional strife here, as there would be. You know, you have cycles wrapping up in your life. There are things concluding. There's an opportunity here for a new, better way of life, a new, better start for yourself. So if any of this resonated for you, perhaps this would be a good time for you to go and stand outside in the sun or under the moonlight and just, you know, take some of this energy here, really. Just look up at the sky. Feel how insignificant you are, really, within the whole universe. Take some deep breaths. and consciously let some of this energy go and make a start on this new path for yourself. One of being, what's the word I want to say? Secure. Secure within yourself. You know, I think that's what I'm seeing here everywhere, really, is this kind of insecure, fearful attachment style to relationships. And it's a very brave step indeed to become more secure within yourself and to take the steps necessary for that. So there we go, everybody. I do hope that helped. I realise this is quite deep and quite heavy and quite emotional, and you know, if this reading does resonate for you, it would be important to take some time to process this and to reflect upon some of the things that I've said, and to just sit with it and be with it for a time. And often, like in therapy, you know, the real work goes on in the background. You know, it's not something that you're conscious of, it's just kind of a shift in your perceptions. But anyway, I do hope that did resonate for some of you, and I really truly hope that was helpful for you. And if you did enjoy this reading or it meant something to you, please do give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear any feedback from any of you in the comments. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and take good care of yourself, and I shall see you again soon. Thank you.